think we got sound, Coach Kevin. I don't know if we have any audience members, but we've got some sound. Oh. Let's see. I'm telling you, I have a lot of emails that I've been ignoring all day. Oh, what's up, Cameron? You want to say hello to our viewer, Kevin?
Hey, Cam.
You're getting pretty good with that kalimba.
Thanks. Do you want to hear Colors of the Wind?
I don't know. Colors of the Wind. Is this an original song that you came up with by yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah? Wow. Very good. I'm very impressed. Beautiful. It's haunting. The haunting melody.
That's it. Are we doing things?
We're doing our thing.
We're fulfilling our dreams.
Yes. I don't know. Have you been fulfilling your dreams?
Uh-huh. So, okay.
I don't have any dreams anymore. My dreams are all dead.
My sister just had twins, so I get to live vicariously through her dreams.
Really? You're living vicariously?
I get to...
Her having twins?
I get to interact...
Did you want to have children?
No. Well,
I find this hard to believe.
What I like, it's like my favorite way of owning a dog is by having roommates with a dog.
Yes.
Right? You get all the benefits of the dog, none of the responsibility.
The dog shits in your house, but you don't have to clean it up.
But I can if I want to. You know, I do enjoy living in a poop-free house, but you know, I don't have to, and that's nice. What's nice about having nieces is that I get to leave.
Yes.
And that's cool. But I also get to enjoy them, right, for what they are. They're babies. It's like a bundle of potential right there, and it's enjoyable to be around.
Is it? Is it though?
I think it is. I like, well, because most people don't like babies because babies scream, right? Most people find screaming unpleasant. I only don't like screaming when it's my fault, right? So with babies, it's fine because like babies are supposed to cry, right?
It's
or
true.
at least like,
Yeah. Well, it's actually no one's fault that babies cry, except if you don't feed them or change them.
yeah, and like,
Or
you
keep
know,
them
if those things
dry.
have been taken care of, it's like, okay, it's just a crying baby. I can't make it stop, but I can try and make it comfortable, right? And then as long as you let go of the idea that you can make the baby do what you want to do, then it's fine, right? Because it's not my fault. I can be screamed at if it's not my fault. It's fine.
No, do the babies scream when you're there, or do they love hanging out with Uncle Kevin?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
What are the Uncle Kevin activities? How old are the nieces
They're like
now?
3 months.
3 months, so they're just basically just lumps.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm not sure they can see things yet.
They can see. You just
like-
have to get close to them.
Yeah, like super close.
They can see faces, like they know faces.
I think they get like vibes or smells, but
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think they like recognize.
They probably do recognize you in their baby way.
Well, not visually is what I meant. You're right. I agree. But it's fun. Like, I don't know. It's significant, I think. So I'm like really proud of my sister, and I like being there and helping. It feels like something positive that I can contribute with my time, which is nice. Especially because like she's so busy, or she will be. I don't get how you can both have a job and kids. It seems like completely impossible. I have no idea how people do it.
Wait, like having a job
like having to commit all the time necessary to be good at what you do for a career.
Yeah, but see, that's what happens. You just do everything terribly, both as a parent and as a
but not everybody does. I mean, I'm sure everybody makes compromises, right? But a lot of people are still able to, pop out cool people
or uncool people.
Because each one of them, they just want attention, not shaking it, paying attention. They want, you gotta look at them, you gotta acknowledge them as people.
Do you?
Seems like it. Because otherwise they get all craggy. I don't know. This is my first interaction with babies, so I don't really know how things are supposed to be done. But I've got permission to start training them in jiu-jitsu, so I'm really excited. If you were to start 2 people from scratch, what would your plan be?
Well, I wouldn't go to plan B right away.
No. What would be your plan?
2 3-month-olds?
Yeah, if you were I'm going to teach these kids jiu-jitsu, and I'm also going to not Joe Jackson them. Right?
What's Joe Jackson?
Michael Jackson's father.
You mean beat them?
Yeah.
And abuse them?
I want to foster their growth in grappling if possible, but not at the expense of their...
I would just teach them Elio Gracie's 46 lessons. Basically just all self-defense. That's what I would teach them.
But babies won't understand that. Or toddlers. Because we get it our youngest age that we get are usually 4.
Yeah.
And then that...
I don't think you can really teach a kid. You can do things that are kind of pre-jiu-jitsu-y with them. My one friend, he used to say that when he had his first child, what he would do is he'd just start trying to push them over.
Yeah.
Whenever they were walking, he'd just kind of push them to make them fall down. Not hard, but just kind of make them so they have to learn how to balance against resistance.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I would not get into the habit of pushing babies down because if it falls down and hits its head, you're going to go to jail. And the judge, I was just trying to teach itself some jiu-jitsu, is probably not going to work. I watched 3CG this weekend.
What's that?
Third Coast Grappling.
Third Coast.
I don't know what that means.
It means it's in Texas, right?
Is that what it is? Everything's in Texas now.
Yeah.
Some good matches. Some fun matches to watch.
Who was it?
You had, let's see, I can't remember all the matches. You had, let's see, the 3 that I can remember. There was John Combs versus some manimal from Gracie Baja. This guy was a beast.
Wait, who versus who?
John Combs.
John Combs.
Versus some, I'm sure he's a big name, but I just don't remember. He wasn't a big name, but he was a beast. Then we had Cody Steele versus Edwin Najmi.
I've heard of Edwin.
You've never heard of Cody Steele? Oh man, you are missing out on Cody Steele, man. He is a beast. So he's friends and training partners with William Tackett. I think it was William Tackett. He has a brother too, I forget his brother's name. Another Tackett brother.
Yeah.
There's 5 of them apparently. So Tackett was the headliner, and he had a match against Philippe Andre or Philippe Andrew, I think his name, guy with 2 names, who's really good, who's a world champion.
Uh-huh.
And he heel hooked him in 2 minutes.
Rude.
it was an interesting match because I thought Felipe would just kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's just that good. But I think Felipe is more of a gi guy. And Tackett is wrestler, no gi. I'm sure he's awesome in gi too. But yeah, Cody Steele just freaking ragdolled Edwin Najmi around. My favorite thing about Edwin Najmi is that he basically sleepwalks through every match. It looks like he's not doing anything in any match, except when it gets you in like a Estimo lock.
Yeah.
He used to be really good with the Estimo locks, and then for whatever reason, he just stopped really catching them.
Maybe people stopped putting their foot in his belly.
Yeah, I think that would be one thing you'd want to do if you were up against him. I mean, he's a great flying triangle. I mean, I don't know, it's funny because he was he's so good.
Was he the one who flying triangled Lepre a couple of ADCCs ago?
That was
Or flying armor?
Flying armor, that was
Someone different?
yeah, much different.
Oh,
I know I can see his face, but he's what's his name? It'll come to me in a minute. Also really good, but he's not as consistent as Najmi. I don't think he competes as much. But yeah, no, Cody Steele just basically was just all over Najmi. He like body slammed him a couple times.
Who is Cody Steele?
Who? It's like a comic book. You've never seen Cody Steele?
What does he do?
He just mangles people.
No, like, does he do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he won the combat jiu-jitsu. Let me see if I can find this for you. He's like, I mean, he wrestles really well.
Who's he out of? Like, does he have a team affiliate?
I think they are Alliance out of, I don't know where, I think in Texas. They could be somewhere else though. Here we go. This is just like, here you go. I'll put that right there. You can watch Cody while you do push-ups. Don't sweat on my phone. I don't want your dirty sweat. Jill, you're making me nervous. Let's get to a good part here.
It's like, I don't know how long the good part takes to get to.
I mean, there's...
It's probably longer than I can do.
Oh, this is good. This is good. Watch this. Watch it. Oh, no, that's messed it up. I don't know why Edwin is like standing up with Cody Steele. I think we missed already a good part. There's a bunch of scrambles.
Yo, why is jiu-jitsu so boring to watch?
Why is it so boring to watch?
It's like golf, man.
All right.
Golf.
Jiu-jitsu is, I'll tell you why jiu-jitsu is boring to watch, because there is no shot clock.
Interesting.
If there's no legitimate stall, right? Like you have to really go out of your way to stall, right? Because the rules are also that like if you have a dominant position, you are under no requirement to move.
Yes.
Right? So if I'm cross-side on top, I can just sit on cross-side on top the entire match and I'll never get a stall call.
Yeah.
If I'm inside your guard, then you can get called for stalling on the top position.
Well, that's because you're in a defensive position.
There should be, regardless of what the thing is, whatever the distinction is, people should be forced to move towards a score in all. You know, like if you're not trying to score every 10 seconds, they should call you for stalling.
Doesn't that take away from the actual point of the martial art aspect of it? Like,
you're just asking me what would make, I mean, why is it so boring? And the reason I'm telling you is, you know why judo isn't boring? It can be boring.
They don't have a shot clock. Do they?
They do.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, it's essentially
No, I
like,
thought they had one if you made a grip.
no, they have a lot of different things that you can do. If you're being overly defensive, they will call you for being overly defensive. So there's a lot of different ways that you can try to like run away, essentially, or run out the clock, and they'll call you for that. And same thing in wrestling, right? I mean, but in jiu-jitsu, there's no meaningful shot, like stall penalties.
Yeah, that would push the action.
And then also, the out-of-bound rules are stupid.
I still think everyone should fight in like a reverse dome, where like as you start going up the side, you'll just roll back in the middle.
I mean, there should be like, if you're in it's kind of like wrestling, right? If you get pushed out in wrestling, the other guy gets a point.
Yeah.
It should be the same
Well,
thing.
that's the issue, or that's the case when they have a leg lock, right? If you roll out escaping a leg lock, the other person gets 2 points, and
Well, you have to be in a submission.
yes.
So, and then the question is, because sometimes you're not really technically in a submission.
But it looks like one.
You can also be disqualified too.
If you do it too much.
I'm trying to think of, if you pick the person up, like let's say, if I'm in your guard, and like I pick you up while you're in closed guard, and I walk you outside the ring, like I get DQ'd.
You're fleeing.
You know? And then if let's say you have me in a triangle choke, and I walk out, I get DQ'd for that.
Why is it with a triangle choke, it's a DQ, but with leg locks?
I think with a leg lock it probably is also, right? Trying to remember. No, I think it's 2, isn't
points.
it?
Yeah, it's 2 points.
I mean, the rules, the IBJJF rules are just...
If they roll out and it's not a submission, it's just like position, I think they give the advantage to the non-roller. I could be wrong.
It's like, you know what it is? I think if I'm trying to escape the submission, I lose 2 points, but if I'm actually trying to stop the match...
The other person gets 2 points.
Right, the other person gets 2 points, but if I'm trying to, like, escape, like that's not, like, picking the guy up and walking him out of bounds is not escaping the submission, right? Correct. That's just like, I just want to get a reset.
Yeah.
I just want to do over, right?
But what if you pick him up and you're, like, freaking out and you start running around and then you go out of bounds too far?
I think you get DQ'd.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't even know all the, although I did get one of the highest scores on my rule test of the whole class. Not bragging or anything, but even after studying for my test, this was only a year ago, I think, I still don't know the rules. I mean, I know certain rules, right? If you argue with the ref, that's automatically 2 points.
Yeah.
Like if you call a score, like you think you got a score,
and
you don't get scored, and you do this, if you're like 2-2, like that, you don't say anything, you just go, that's -2 for you.
Because you're not allowed to talk anymore.
You're not allowed to do anything, except if you're injured. If you have a cramp, it used to be you could cramp up and ask for a medical timeout, but now if you cramp up, it's, you forfeit. Because Herbert Santos would cramp every time somebody would pass his guard.
Yeah.
Herbert, please, if you're watching, don't come and kill me. I love you, you're awesome. I'm just saying. But yeah, I mean, if they had real rules about, and you know what they should also have? The other thing that they have in wrestling at the Olympic level, and I'm not sure, and I think also at college level, they have a wipeout rule, right? Like if you score 10-point differential, the match is over. So you'll see some matches they end in like a minute.
Yeah.
And I think it should be the same thing. I understand the whole idea of, at any moment I could just whip out a submission. But if you just rolled off 10 points on me in like a minute, I'm probably not good enough to like, unless you somehow like tweak your knee while you're running up the score on me, And even then, probably not gonna like whip out that submission.
Highlight videos don't make themselves. If you got 10 points on a guy, you might as well, it's a time to prove some stuff. It's a tournament.
Just saying, if you want. I mean, I think that jiu-jitsu could be one of the most exciting sports.
Yeah.
But under the current rules, like they shorten the time. Like some of these matches, like some tournaments will have it, or competitions will have like 5-minute matches.
Yeah.
And other tournaments have no limit matches, right? At least, and that's another way of encouraging submission, right? Like, like Abu Dhabi doesn't have points in the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that way you can like really risk. You can take chances is the idea.
Yeah.
Other like this one, Third Coast Grappling, they don't have. You can get points in the first period, but that won't decide. There's two periods. In the first period, unless you get a submission, whoever has the most points gets to pick their starting position for the second period. Yeah, it's weird. But like
what's the starting position?
But they get a lot of they get some decent. Like you can go guard, you can go, top. I don't know, like EBI, you get to pick.
Yeah.
Like okay, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna be on your back, where I get the spider web.
But it's weird. That's not like I don't think that's it has its value, but it's not an act. I don't know. I don't think it. Like why? What is the value for that? Like having
what is the value?
Having matches decided by like picking an arbitrary position and arbitrarily deciding like what the conditions of winning are, when you could just like let them finish the match.
I mean, I think the idea is that they only have so much time allotted per match. They want it very much to end a submission, but not every match is going to end in a submission. So then then they look at like how fast you escape the positions, right? I mean, it's a pretty. I mean, look, if you go 5 rounds with somebody and you can escape whatever they're, either whether it's rear back control or a sit-out arm lock, 5 times.
Is it 5 times?
I think it's up to 5 times. Like in the championship matches, I think it's 5 times. Like that's pretty good. If you can get out of like.
I feel like it's a false way to create excitement, where like you have this lightning round type thing.
You can either have a false way of creating excitement or a true way of creating boredom.
No, but it's like it seems like a way of creating marketing material. Right?
Fair enough.
Look at all of our submissions for a tournament. Like this is the best thing ever, and it's like it is kind of cool to watch submissions happen. But like I thought part of the point of tournament jiu-jitsu was finding the best overall paths of the art or of the the whole thing.
I mean, I guess there's only a couple of ways to kind of like, tweak the rule set to get your desired result, right? I mean, you could do it like Naga, which is like every time you have a submission attempt, you get a point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Fight to Win does like whoever looked like they were trying harder, but it's still like it's very arbitrary. And
I mean, I think most times people can
problems.
tell who the aggressor is.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't always mean that they're the better person.
No, I agree. I mean, but if the idea is how do we make something that is more watchable and entertaining, then you have to increase the pace of the sport.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, having guys sit in 50-50 for 5 minutes or 2 minutes is...
But like, is this going to lead to the creation of like having people start in other arbitrary but like also exciting positions? Like, did you ever... well, there was a judo thing that I used to hear about where they would line up everybody in class and have them choke each other, and the first person who either let go lost, or the first person to pass out wins. Right? Like, why not? It's going to be exciting. Start 2 jiu-jitsu people in deep collar chokes, and see who the better collar choker is. It's still a tournament. You still get to see some action. You're probably going to see someone pass out. This sounds like the best type of tournament possible. But my point is like, I mean, with like tournaments where it's 2 guys go out and they do jiu-jitsu, they have a winner, it's like, we know that those people are good at jiu-jitsu, kind of. But with these tournaments, it's like finding out who's the best armbar escaper, which doesn't really, I mean, who cares? Like, who cares about being the best armbar escaper in the world? That's not really the point of jiu-jitsu. It's nice, it's cool, it's something you can put on your resume, but...
I think if you want... one of the ways, I mean, look, you can imagine all sorts of ways to tweak it, but, I think jiu-jitsu would be improved if you just said, look, we're going to start really having a strict anti-stall rule that will be enforced, and if you get caught, you're going to lose the match. Period.
What do you do for positions like 50-50? Where it's like, who's stalling when both of them are caught up in there,
Well, I think it's kind of like, this similar thing with like Keenan, where he gets a really good position, like in worm guard. Mm-hmm.
And you see this a lot, like 50-50, where guys like reinforce it with like with a lapel, making it exceptionally dangerous or boring, I should say, or likely not dangerous, but likely to go the entire match. I would say that when you're in a position like that, you have to. Well, first of all, you just let people do heel hooks, and 50-50 becomes a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the simplest. First of all, if you're a pro black belt, there should be no submission that is off the menu.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can think, the only one I would think of is you can't like physically spike someone's head into the mat.
I don't like those Aoki arm bars either. Or whatever they are with the...
I mean, I think that's a legit submission.
For MMA, maybe.
I mean...
It's not a submission, you're just breaking someone's arm.
You don't put your arm there.
No, but you don't give the person an opportunity to submit.
I think if you just let... I mean, other than like pile drivers, like that sort of thing, or anything that is like... I think the ref should have at least some, like if they get you in a camel clutch, right? Like the ref should be able to step in and call the match for the other guy, even if you don't want to give in or submit. But
at black belt level, you think a ref? It's the ref.
Yeah, because a lot of black belts won't tap to anything.
Black belts.
Huh? Well,
okay.
All I'm saying is, there has to be some safety element of it to protect the competitors from themselves, from their own stupidity.
At black belt level, though, I feel like the idea of like a person having a black belt should.
I mean, black belts can be just as dumb as anybody else.
Yeah.
It means they're good at jiu-jitsu. It doesn't mean that they're smart people, or not to say that they're not smart people. That they aren't going to take. Look, I'm not doing it necessarily for their personal safety, but rather for the welfare of the entire sport. Yeah. Because if enough people die or suffer like paralytic injuries, like that will be the end of the sport. So yeah, I don't care if you eat a toe hold that much or you let your knee get popped if you're Vinny Magalhães. Yeah. But like if you're gonna let your head or your neck get torn off your body, I don't think you should be allowed to do that, right? Just from a safety, like for the same reason they make NFL players wear helmets, right? I mean, just like yes, there are a lot of people. If you said like hockey players, if you say a hockey players, oh yeah, you can wear helmets or not. You decide. They'll all not wear hockey helmets. Right? But they decided at some point, like, no, this is important from a safety perspective for the whole health of the sport, not just about your own personal stupidity and risk-taking, right? So it's just so that people let us keep having tournaments. Yes, that's all. Yeah. I've seen some really bad videos of people getting spiked on their necks. And yeah, you can't let that happen. It's bad. I mean, I don't think anyone should be allowed to, like, risk paralysis, like, intentionally. But still, like, should it be the ref's responsibility? Like, what happened to personal responsibility?
Yeah,
at least at the
black
black
sport. No, just
at the black belt.
I don't know what happened to personal responsibility, but we have a bunch of maniacs who are willing to like do this and have it done to them. So if they're not willing to like be smart about it, then yeah, it'll be the refs or the organizers or whatever.
But I don't know. I feel like it's a known thing in tournaments where if you don't tap, you're going to get something broken.
Yeah,
right?
That's fine.
Why is it different with a camel clutch versus a toe hold? Like
because this is like I can recover from a toe hold.
Yeah, but either way,
they can reset it. But if you break my neck, they can't graft my spinal cord.
But you're in charge of your toes. You're in charge of your necks. Like you're aware of how much.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like, for example, if you pick me up, right, and spike me, different. I may or may not have a chance to stop. That's you now, right?
I feel like that's different. Where like danger is imminent.
Either one.
But if I have you in a submission where I'm trying to like make you submit and I'm gradually applying pressure.
Yes.
And it's like not violent and abrupt or anything. I feel like it's the person's responsibility in a tournament.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you know what? People have obviously not exercised their personal responsibility responsibly.
So we should take their rights to...
Yes, they don't have a right. No, they don't have a right. There's no right.
What, to monitor and be in charge of their own bodies?
Not when you go to a tournament, you sign a line that you will abide by all the rules. If I say to the rules, like, you can't do that, I'm going to let the refs, and then that's not impinging on your rights. That's just like, you can choose to come to my tournament or not. If you don't want to be here,
I thought the waiver was...
There's nothing to do with rights.
I thought it was, if you want to allow yourself to hurt yourself, that's fine. You just can't sue us because you know that it's...
No, you have to abide by the rules or you don't get to play.
Are the rules that you're not allowed to let yourself get hurt?
Yeah, if I want to make that the rule.
How do you enforce that, though? Because people are going to get hurt.
By having the ref stop the match before you're so stupid. If you're in a camel clutch, and I tell a ref, okay, well, if you see camel clutches, make sure they stop if they don't tap.
All right, but what if it's slightly different than a camel clutch?
Whatever.
All right,
Whatever. If it's a spinal, if it's any submission that involves the damage to the spine, then if the person doesn't tap, then you should stop it.
I guess.
Right? I mean, I'm just saying, like
with twisters, if I get someone in a twister.
Sure. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying like we have to do this. I'm just saying.
I mean, I feel like
if we said to people, maybe I made it too broad. Maybe I should say like, look, heel hooks, fine. Heel hooks are always allowed.
Great.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what other things that are not allowed that could be allowed.
Neck cranks.
Neck cranks kind of are allowed depending on where you are. Like
Yeah.
you could do a twister.
Yeah.
Right? I think in almost any tournament, the ref has the power to intervene when he or she perceives the competitor to be in like a dangerous.
Who does he obligate you to?
I mean, I think there are rules of professional conduct. I would say look, refs make mistakes, and some ref might say like, I didn't really perceive that as a dangerous situation. Other refs would say, yeah, that was dangerous. I mean, obviously there's going to be some variation, but like if you look at boxing, for example, right? Like the refs are charged by the boxing commission and by the state to, and they take classes and get training about like how do you recognize when a fighter is no longer, when you should let the doctor come in. And in some states, the doctor has the prerogative to stop the fight, right?
Yeah. And
you'll see that in some rules. Like some rules, they say only the ref can stop the fight. But in other states, the doctor can come in and say, hey, wait a minute, this guy shouldn't be, or this woman shouldn't be in the ring anymore. They're obviously, fighters die. I mean, you've had fighters who die from basically not even because they're trying to be brave, but just because they don't even recognize the danger that they're in. So I think the same rules should apply to, that's a good thing, right? If I really think, not just about your knee, like the knee is something that can always be rehabbed, but up to a point, I guess. But like your neck or your life, like if I feel like, okay, yeah, this match is done, well then that's the ref's prerogative. That's just basic safety.
I would agree with things that I would identify as imminently dangerous and violent, like picking someone up and trying to spike them.
I mean, if I pick somebody up in like a triangle, right? They've triangled and I pick them up. Now it could always be also like what kind of floors do we have? If I have like a half-inch mat, right, over concrete, that could be a life-threatening thing. If I'm up on a stage like Fight to Win, they have a stage, right? It's hollow.
Sure.
You could bounce off that. You're probably not immune.
And that's why they want you to do it, because
that's why slams are illegal, because it's like WWE, right?
And if you're in a jiu-jitsu tournament where slams are illegal, if you pick a person up, the ref should be like, hey man, like slams are illegal, don't do that, right?
Yes.
I don't think they should like DQ the person, but it should be like stop them. They should like make the rules.
Yeah, I mean, if the person can persist in doing something that's illegal, they should be DQ'd.
Well, I mean, you can pick someone up though. It's not illegal to pick someone up. It's only illegal to slam them. So if I pick someone up and the ref's like, hey, don't slam them, and I'm like, okay, this is part of my master plan. That's fine.
Yes, and you see that. You see guys who pick each other up,
it's cool.
and then because it takes some pressure off their neck.
Yeah, and it's good, right? But I feel like if I get caught in a triangle and someone's pulling as hard as they can on my head, and I'm just trying to survive and I feel okay, I would be upset if the match got stopped because a person thought that I wasn't doing.
Well, but there's a difference between, like if I see somebody in a triangle and they're going to go to sleep, I'm not worried they're going to die.
No, but let's say it's 100% sweep, but I'm cranking on the neck, right? Like any sort of submission where I'm cranking on the neck, but it's slow and controlled, right? Like.
Okay, fine.
I feel like I'm an adult, they're an adult. This is a tournament. We all know that like bad things can happen. It's not a secret that people can die in tournaments if they do the wrong thing. It's
look. I mean, it's not. Here's the thing.
record.
It's not just you and your training partner, right? It's the promoter, right?
Sure.
It's everyone that the promoter employs, right? And if you want to get insurance for your promotion, then you have to tell the insurance. I mean, the insurance company does not want to pay out for Kevin's
Yeah,
you know,
so you put
paralysis.
in the rules, no slamming, right? So it's
Yeah, but
clear
that's
in the
my
rules.
point is that
And then
it's
when
like
you sign
if,
up-
but what I'm saying is like if you know if I'm the promoter, I'm going to tell my ref, right? Okay, look, your job is to protect
Yeah.
the athletes. That's a big part of your job. So if you feel that one of the athletes is in serious danger of like life-altering, I don't care what position it is. I don't care if you lift them up or you have them down on the ground or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I would say like if you think the person's going to have like be paralyzed, like you should stop that match.
I agree.
Right?
What I don't like is the idea that the tournaments or the competitors can rely on the thought that, oh, this ref might stop this thing, right? Versus if I am responsible for my own body and my own autonomy, I can tell the person to stop cranking my neck, and then they'll stop. If it's
You're
the
a
case,
responsible person, but like in the whole body of jiu-jitsu athletes, or just any athletes,
yeah, but I feel
there
like
are people who will take risks.
it's easier for having to have a person be in charge of themselves than it is to have
Yes.
one person stand up. Hold on,
I
hold on,
agree.
hold on.
I agree.
Than it is to have one person up there for 8 hours a day in charge of however many people have been on the
Well,
line.
usually they have a bunch of different
They stop paying attention 4 hours in. They
Yes.
stop doing their jobs
Yes,
as good
I
as they
agree.
could. It is not a good idea to put this responsibility on one person when it could be
Yes, I
evenly
agree.
distributed among all.
I agree, and I mean, everyone
But-
should know in the,
Yeah.
you know, in these competitive things that like you're responsible for your own personal safety.
And
Right? They tell that to the boxers.
And I also agree that the ref should take it upon themselves to make the match and the tournament as safe as they possibly can. But I don't think it should be their obligation to make a person tap.
They're not making a person tap.
Yeah,
They're stopping the fight.
That's a submission. You're like, I'm going to give up for this guy because he doesn't know how to.
Okay.
I'm going to stop it. I'm going to give the win to him
Yeah.
because this person sucks.
Or maybe they're
that's-
just being foolish, or maybe I think they're going to be
That's-
hurt, or they are hurt.
You're submitting him for him, basically. Like you're saying, this is a submission. You're going to get hurt. We need to stop the match. This
No,
person
you're
wins.
not. You're not. I mean, there's a difference. Like if I call, that's why they call it like in boxing they have a separate term for it. They call it a TKO, right? A technical knockout. Unfortunately, we don't have that in jiu-jitsu, right? We don't have a technical submission where the ref like stops a match because somebody has this like nasty injury, right? We don't call it that, even if you do allow it to be stopped, right? And you know, we don't have that, but that is different. I'm not giving you this submission, right? Right? The person doesn't tap, they don't verbally tap. Then you didn't submit them. I just stopped the match. You still become the winner, but not via submission.
Yeah, but then when you have people playing with the like, no one's ever beaten me by submission. I've only gotten like.
I mean, that's all just nonsense. But think of it this way: like you can imagine a situation where one of the competitors has like a heart attack or stroke,
Sure.
or goes into seizure,
Yeah, that's
or has
out-
any sort of things that aren't even submission based, where that you would
I think
expect
that's
that.
clearly outside of
Is
the
it?
normal expected.
I don't know.
No, when have you ever gone
I don't
into
know,
an
maybe
academy
he's
and you're
just-
like, oh, it's Thursday, someone's probably gonna have a stroke today, you know?
You
It's-
don't know. I
no,
mean,
if
look,
someone strokes
there was
out,
a-
of course you
You know,
stop.
like my buddy Alan Teo, when he had his match against Eddie Bravo at the Abu Dhabi qualifiers, there was at the end of the match, Eddie did this thing where Alan had him in a guillotine, and if Alan had just swept him over, he would have won the match. But he wanted the submission over Eddie, and so he's guillotining Eddie, and apparently it wasn't 100% on, but Eddie kept making the gurgling sounds, right? And so like the idea of being like, oh, I'm gonna make him think that he's gonna finish me, and so then he won't try to sweep,
Yeah.
right? Now, if I were the ref, and I mean, you can imagine a ref saying, you know, like, oh crap,
Yeah.
you know, like this guy's dying under there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's kind of the risk you run as the competitor trying to play tricks on people, right? Like you could scare the ref to the point where, you know, or you could really be gurgling, and like it could sound like, maybe it sounds like somebody, you know, like with a broken larynx or something, or you know, like something nasty like that.
Broken larynx.
You know what I mean? You could have a crushed larynx. Could happen.
I guess it could. I've never heard about it.
Well,
or
let's
seen
hope it doesn't. You know, that we don't figure out this firsthand. I guess my point is that everyone has their own responsibilities, and hopefully, if we all take those responsibilities seriously, like we'll have a more or less safe
Well,
sport.
I feel like we all need to take those responsibilities
Yes.
seriously and not expect the authority of the match to bear all of it. You know?
No, I never said that. But it is ultimately, to me, right? Like, if I'm the IBJJF or I'm Fight to Win, and now they all have their different standards, right? Like, they all have their risk tolerances,
Yeah.
right?
But that doesn't seem like it's in the interest of the community. It seems more in the interest of not getting sued and put out of business.
Well, I mean, if the IBJJF went out of business tomorrow, that might be a great win for jiu-jitsu, but I think most people would agree it would be a loss for jiu-jitsu.
Like there were enough like tournament people, they would scramble together something.
I mean, IBJJF, whatever your opinion on IBJJF, and I'm not going to sit here and defend them. You know, they do run the vast majority of tournaments in the jiu-jitsu community, and they've haven't always done a great job, but I think recently they've done a pretty good job.
Do they do the majority, or do they just have the most?
Well, that's what majority usually
No,
means.
I meant like they have more than 50%, or they have the largest out of all the.
I mean, they definitely run more tournaments than anybody else, for sure.
But there could be enough smaller organizations
that together
Yeah.
maybe run, but like
that's what I'm saying, right? Like there are enough smaller
there are.
organizations.
I mean,
that
you
just
could add
need-
up all of the Nagas.
Yeah,
and-
but like if you just take away the IBJJF, right? There's a space. Naga will fill that space. Whoever will fill that space. Like
I don't know because you know, IBJJF is worldwide. They're global. They run. I'm not sure they have an Australian.
Naga's worldwide.
I don't think
Yeah, they are.
Are they?
Uh-huh.
Are they like
they're
everywhere
they have
worldwide?
Like, I think Asia,
Worldwide?
Australia, yeah.
Are they?
Europe.
I mean, I
I
don't
could
think
be
they have a
wrong.
comparable product, to be honest. But
They have their own little market.
yeah,
It's
I'm
pretty good.
not saying they don't. I'm saying they're not. It's not a comparable. That's
Sure, but I'm
that's
just
like
saying,
the go kart track versus
in the case
Formula
that,
One.
In the case that IBJJF just like disappeared, like
It would be a big loss.
there are people who are familiar enough with organizing and running tournaments
Yes.
that they could make it happen. All they need to do
There
is
would
stay
be
on.
somebody would fill the gap to some extent, but I think it would be hard to step into the IBJJF shoes for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I mean, look, the Sheikh could probably put together all those tournaments if he really wanted to.
Like ADCC gi tournaments.
I mean, they have
something.
the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So, I think somebody would step into the breach, so to speak, but it's, if the IBJJF went out of business because of some sort of like insurance event, a lot of the other tournaments would have to adjust accordingly too, because they all have basically the same insurers, right? So, it would be one of those things where if the big guy goes under, all the little guys are like in a lot of trouble too.
They'll have to make
You know.
the adjustments.
I wouldn't be like, woohoo, we're taking over. I'd be like, wow, whatever ate the IBJJF is gonna have, no problem with me.
How many sets have I done?
No, I don't keep track of your sets. It's not my job. It's your job as your own athlete.
I'm not here to count.
I do jiu-jitsu because I'm good at math. I would have joined a math club if that had been the case.
I like math.
I like math when other people do it for me. Well, I found the perfect self-defense toy that we're gonna experiment with. It's called the Burna.
Burna?
So this thing is awesome.
Is it like a cell phone that you call the cops with?
No.
You throw it away right after?
The burner?
Yeah.
No. It looks like a cross between like maybe an airsoft gun
Uh-huh.
and a Nerf gun.
Airsoft guns look like regular guns, so.
Yeah, but it kind of looks like a regular gun, but it's like kind of thicker in a way, and it's very colorful. You can get it in all different colors. So the idea is that it doesn't look like a real gun.
But is it?
No.
Okay.
So what it is, now the reason I said airsoft, because it has a propellant, right? It's like a CO2 canister in the, it's not a gun, so in the device, in the platform, as they like to say. It's not a gun, Kevin, it's a weapons platform.
It's not a weapon, it's a tool.
It's a tool. Good one. I like that. And then it shoots these things that look like paintballs.
Yeah.
Now, the beautiful thing about this is that paintballs are filled with what?
Well, I expect that these are filled with pepper spray.
Well, that's one option that you have at your disposal. They actually have like tear gas that you can shoot at each other, or at your.
Isn't that illegal?
Well, in California it is. So the thing is, like, I was watching the video. They have a video like reviewing this thing, and they shoot one guy in the leg, and it looks like it hurt. I mean, it's like this big paintball, but it's solid.
Does it penetrate into the skin with tear gas? Because that sounds awful.
No. So there's like 3 different or 4 different things. So in California, all you can do is the solid. You can't even have pepper spray.
Like a rubber type? Rubber.
I don't know what it's made of, but I suspect it probably is either a hard
Like
rubber.
an SBC or something.
But
PVC.
so the one they have is it will pop and it like is tear gas or whatever, pepper spray or whatever it is. And then they had the video of that guy, of some guy getting that, and of course he's gagging, he's blinded, and he can't do anything. And they have to like pour milk over his face because he's so like jacked up.
And you want to do this? This is what
Well, we can't do it because we can't get the pepper spray / tear gas in here, but we could do the solid ball.
Okay. Can't wait. Yeah, get it.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right.
So, yeah, but my question is like this thing, you know, they do it to somebody who is sober, right? Like, so if you're just walking along and someone hits you with this thing, you're gonna cry. But if you're like really worked up, or
Like if I'm on the phencyclidine.
whatever you're on,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that one of these things would stop you.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Be careful though. Eye injuries are real. That's what I don't want to happen.
You want me to shoot you in the face?
No thanks. My mom used to. So my mom used
You
to
will
work-
lose an eye or a tooth.
My mom used to work as a nurse in ophthalmology department in a children's hospital, and like every summer she would just get waves after waves of potato gun injuries. Right?
Is that a thing in Indiana?
Wait, you don't know about potato guns?
I do know about potato guns.
Well, it's like kids plus potato guns.
And let the fun begin.
Well, they shoot it and it doesn't go, and they look down the barrel and then it goes off. So then destroyed eye, a lot of blindness. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's my only concern with something like
Never look down the barrel of a gun, any gun.
Yeah. Have you seen? I saw a picture on the internet of like someone took apart a shotgun and sprayed it the Nerf colors and put it back together again, so it just looked like a Nerf gun. And police confiscated it and just had like, full shells. It was just like a regular shotgun that they put together to look like a Nerf gun, so they could have it in their place.
That seems really dumb.
Yeah.
That seems really dumb. But that was my first, and maybe for a long time, the only rule I was given about handling guns.
Don't look down the barrel.
Don't look down the barrel.
Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to shoot.
Don't touch. No. I mean, there was obviously like, don't touch.
Yeah.
And if you're going to touch it, don't look down the barrel.
Yeah. Well, don't point it at anything you're not trying to destroy, right? That's the rule. And if you look down the barrel, you're pointing it at your face. So
That's instant Darwin right there.
Yeah. Bad idea.
You know what was funny? Speaking of getting shot with a shotgun, someone was talking about Dick Cheney. You remember Dick Cheney?
Yeah, with the
So he went hunting.
This guy,
And he shot a dude
Yeah.
full on with a shotgun while they were out hunting.
Yeah, it was like bird shot.
You know how much of a badass he is? That dude apologized to him.
Yeah, he walked in front of his line of sight. Yeah, it was his fault.
It was not his fault.
Yeah, totally.
No, it is not his fault.
Totally was.
I mean, it could have been his fault, actually.
Yeah.
It could have
I
been.
think it was.
For sure.
Pretty sure it was.
You're actually responsible for anything that's in front of you with your gun, but
Yeah, you are, but,
if someone does something really dumb,
sometimes it happens. But luckily it was not like buckshot or anything. That would be bad. But they were like hunting pheasants or something. Something so
yeah,
stupid.
little BBs, really.
That's fine. You just pepper
Didn't
them.
you shoot him in the face? I think you shot him
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
face.
like the side of the face or something. Brutal.
Dude, I don't.
How big is this gun? Like, if you have like an airsoft sized gun that you're using for self defense, why don't you just like why don't you get a regular gun?
Because it's not so with this platform, this self-defense platform, it is not a gun.
Our solutions.
You don't need a license. There's no background check. Anyone can get it, right? So if let's say you don't want to go through the process, or you don't want to have a gun in your house because it's whatever, it's really dangerous to have a gun.
But if you don't want to have a gun in your house, then why are you buying a gun for
It's not a
yourself?
gun.
It's
It's a
a
self-defense
It's a gun.
platform.
It's just a really shitty gun.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said for like a less lethal alternative. Yes.
There are less lethal alternative guns that are probably like just small.
No, a small gun will still kill you.
Birdshot.
That will still kill you.
It could, but like it less, you know? It less.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. If I shoot you, even with the shittiest gun on the planet, right, I will be tried for like attempted murder.
You gotta move to Indiana, man.
Right. I mean, depending on the circumstances, right? But I mean, I might have a case for self-defense, but usually those cases go to the jury, right? So because that's a credibility thing, right? So, I mean, I have to go through the whole legal system, the whole process to get my, even if I'm totally justified, I might still, and then there might be civil liability at the end of that one, right? So like shooting, the odyssey of your self-defense is not ending, even if you kill the guy.
And you think that this will take care of all those problems?
Well, I won't be tried for attempted murder. I won't be, like that's not, if I shoot, it's like shooting an airsoft pistol at somebody, right? Like that will hurt. If I shot a paintball gun at you, it would hurt. It might stop you, right? If it's filled with pepper spray, it's better, like more likely to stop
Why
you.
are your self-defense situations out in open fields?
It can be right here. I can shoot right here.
Yeah, would you want to fire something filled with tear gas or pepper spray indoors? Have you ever let off a tear or pepper spray?
I don't know.
All
I'm saying is if I have an option of not having to go through all that litigation and criminal exposure, right? That's a viable choice.
Isn't it though?
I mean, some people, look, I'm ready to buy this thing, not for personal self-defense,
I mean,
just for the opportunity to shoot you with it.
Yeah, it sounds like it
sounds
would be
fun.
right? Like,
I mean, if I just sat here and shot the dummies, I'd probably be entertained.
it would be worth it.
It would be totally worth it.
But that's how I feel self-defense needs to be treated. It's an opportunity to have some fun, try some stuff out, get some ideas. But like, if you're out here thinking that you're gonna shoot people with pepper spray bullets in your self-defense situation,
I've always said, look, I don't disagree with you. I've always said if you really are in fear of your life, like you think you're gonna get attacked, and you should probably go get a gun or a body or somebody with a gun, right? Like you should do something about, like if you're like selling drugs or diamonds or whatever it is. I'm just saying like anything that, like look, there was a guy in New York who was carrying a bag of diamonds, one of these diamond merchants, I guess, and he got assassinated for his diamonds.
Yeah, so self-defense wouldn't have done anything, right? You just got assassinated.
I'm just saying, if I'm that guy, right? If I'm a guy like him, and I'm like, okay, you might get assassinated for the $10 million of diamonds in your bag that you carry around the street.
So you're gonna
I would hire a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Or I might find alternate ways of getting around that don't involve the possibility of me getting assassinated while I walk down the street.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm not saying you should take jiu-jitsu if you think someone's out to kill you. Like if you
That's
owe
the
money
wrong
to like the
approach.
mob, like don't come to jiu-jitsu because first of all, I don't want them showing up here. But second of all, that's not going to help you when 4 dudes show up and murder you.
But it might make your last couple days really fun. You might have a good time, meet some people, you know.
The burn definitely is not going to help you in that situation.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you might want to leave town. That would be my recommendation. You know, enter the witness protection program.
Yeah.
You know, go to the FBI or something. But you know, self-defense probably not your self-defense classes are not the right option.
I don't know. I'm still just.
What about a gun? Do you agree? Like, let's say I am a young man or woman who's worried about being assaulted, you know, out on the street because I go through a high crime area, whatever, for my job. Would you recommend them getting a gun?
Do you have a history of depression?
Me personally?
No, the person.
No. They're like, I'm afraid of getting attacked by some rando.
I don't know. I feel like guns are effective, but I wouldn't recommend them to everybody. Not everybody.
Not everybody, yeah, no. But I'm saying like, yes, not to the person who has a history of depression. I'm saying like to a regular, everyday person who's like, I have a cognizable, like a real fear, a legitimate fear of somebody attacking me. And I don't have any other way of defending myself other than arming myself.
Yeah, I mean, I would take the first precautions of like filing a police report and, you know, trying to make sure that the person is aware that the authorities are aware.
No, I'm just saying.
As far as like personal self-defense, the best self-defense is
Good offense.
no, is the person knowing that if they hurt you, they're gonna spend time in jail, or they're gonna like, because.
Well, I'm just talking about random street violence. I'm not talking about like
but
domestic.
no, even with random street violence, like the thing that I think stops most people from doing stuff is the knowledge that they're gonna get thrown in jail, right? Among the people who would commit violence, right? Like of the people who would be motivated to attack
I disagree. I think in my experience in the criminal justice system, the people, at least that I've dealt with, none of them were making a calculated decision about their actions based on the likelihood that they were going to be arrested and or incarcerated. If anything, you know, that is like almost like the cost of doing business. It's just sort of like, you know, like, hey, you know, like I stick up people, you know, like I take their cell phones, like eventually I'm gonna get caught and I'm gonna go to jail. That's just the cost of me, you know.
Yeah, and I think for those situations, self-defense is gonna help you. If you're thinking about like you're afraid of getting like having a gun pointed at your face and getting robbed, your best situation or your best self-defense in that situation is not going into that area or giving up all your valuables. Like there's no self-defense or there's no amount of time that you can train that will be worth like the value that you would gain of just giving someone your stuff, right? Like, because to get good at self-defense, you're gonna have to spend like 5 hours a week for like 3 years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of money.
And even then, a guy, if he's got a gun or there's two people and they've got some
you're
knives,
still gonna have to give up your stuff. Like
that's the danger.
And now you feel like an idiot because you spent 5 years learning self-defense and you still couldn't do anything about it. You're still a little bitch.
There was a guy at Kenzo's who was a cop, and he got cornered or surprised at one of these ATM banks where he used to go inside.
Yeah.
It's not out on the street.
Yeah.
So he went in, and then these guys followed in after him.
Yeah.
And he had a gun. He had like 2 guns.
Yeah.
But he was plain clothes, and they basically were just like, hey.
Yeah.
And he was like, so he didn't want them to touch him because he had a badge, he had a gun, you know, like he didn't want them to find the gun and take the gun off him.
Yeah.
And so then he just threw his wallet and threw his watch on the floor, and they took it and left.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like, hey, I'm a cop, and try to go for his gun. They already had drawn on him.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't like you know, with me, you could probably just menace me and just look mean to me. I'll just give you my stuff. But he was like, he's a tough dude. Like he doesn't look like somebody who. So they drew like he said that they had their guns out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna get targeted by someone who makes it their business to attack people, like it's in most cases like outside of like bar situations, if it's someone who's sticking you up for your valuables, like they're planning on it.
Yes.
So it's not like it's a random thing. They've probably either lured you or found you and
they've been watching you, or they've been watching the area that you're going into.
Like they're not gonna go in without thinking that it's gonna go okay. Right? Which means you're gonna be at every disadvantage that they could possibly create.
So there's a difference. There's a difference between the criminals that are like the professionals,
yeah, well, then
and then there's the ones that are like
crazy.
the stupid kids.
Yeah.
Right? The ones that are just like, hey, we're just gonna do some crazy stuff, and then something else happens.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're gonna rob this place, and they assume that it's empty, and then there happens to be somebody in there, and because these are dumb kids who don't really think much, or just dumb people, don't have to be kids. Then there's a reaction, right? There's almost like a panic mode of like, what do we do?
Yep.
And when you have impulsive criminals,
and kids trying to be cool,
then that's a recipe for some really bad things to happen, right?
yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking from a really, I don't know, I don't have a dangerous job, and my only experience with like using self-defense was during bouncing. So most of that was like, it was always petty squabbles, and maybe like guys following girls home, and it's just like, you know, just like go away, it's creepy people. And I'm of the type where most people don't mess with me when I'm out and about, which is nice. So like, I've never really had to.
Well, it's definitely the thing is that there are certain things that you can do or places where you can live that are a higher percentage or a greater likelihood that you will get caught up in this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like the case that I had where the guy was, it was a murder case.
Did they rob him?
No, that was another one. This one was this. So these guys, they had bought a pit bull, They went and got a pit bull from this woman.
Was it a gamer one?
I don't know what it was, but they got this pit bull, and then like they had some agreed upon price, right? It was like $500 for this pit bull, and he gave her $250, and then the idea was like, I'm gonna give you another $250 in like next week when I get paid or something like that.
Yeah.
He comes out to like a week later or whatever. She's like, "Where's my money?" He's like, "I'm not paying you."
Yeah.
And she's like, "You better pay me, or I'm gonna collect some other way."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, whatever, I don't care."
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if he knew or not, but
Was she connected?
she's had some, like it was her cousin or something, it was a gangbanger. And so they murdered this dude for the $250 that he owed on a pit bull. Like straight up just like assassinated him on the street.
Yeah.
Allegedly, I should say. I mean, the guy died, right? I don't know if our guy did it, but it was like one of those things where if you are associated with a certain, right, if you're doing business with a certain group of people,
yeah,
you better pay when you're dead, or you might get murdered.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. It's not like he knew that she was affiliated, so it's just like, don't cheat people out of what you promised them. That would be a good start. But anyway, that guy that guy wouldn't have been better off had he known self-defense.
No.
Right?
No.
It's just
he would have been better off if he had paid or not bought it at all.
Not bought it or paid
or had paid her the money.
Don't make people you don't really know angry with you if you don't have to. Right? That's
yes, agreed.
That's also a good rule for like in Jiu-Jitsu academy, right? Like no, it's really important.
That's
like,
true. Yes.
When you're
don't buy pit bulls from anybody in Jiu-Jitsu.
When you're a lower belt, you tend to go and try not to make the upper belts mad because you want to roll with them and you want them to not murder you, right? That's a good rule, like you never know who can hurt you a whole lot or who might want to down the line. So if you just don't make them mad at you, you can.
Ooh, I had a good question for that one. Yeah. I was reading on a message board. Segue into this one, which I think is that's a good segue. So this is a guy. He's like a blue belt, and he's
like a blue belt.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know how experienced he was. Right. I think maybe like upper white, lower blue is what it sounded like.
Okay.
And he's like, I've been told by some of the higher belts that I'm too spazzy. And he says, it's kind of like a lose-lose because if I don't go as hard as I possibly can, then I'm definitely going to get submitted.
Yeah.
But if I go as hard as I can, then these people won't train with me anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, what should I do?
You should go as hard as you think that they can tolerate. If they're talking to you about how spazzy you are, you need to tone it down. Probably.
Yeah, but then he can't win. Then he won't win the roll, Kevin. Or he'll lose the roll. Not even that he won't win, but he'll definitely get tapped.
Yeah.
Or he won't tap anybody because he's not spazzing. Because spazzing is like key to his. It's kind of his style, Kevin. How do you squash his self-expression like that?
I don't know. I used to be really spazzy, so I don't know. It's if someone doesn't want to roll with you because of the way you roll, maybe don't roll with them for a while. Or maybe if you roll with those people who have said something, you could be more mindful about how you're rolling. But some people won't mind if you're spazzy.
No,
there are guys who are like down to roll some spazzy blue belts.
Yes.
And be friends with those guys and train with them a lot.
Yes.
Because they'll appreciate you more than.
I actually have more of a problem with the higher belts that are telling this person that they're too spazzy.
Really?
My reaction to that is twofold. Either A, you shouldn't be rolling with that person because you can't. It's not their problem. It's your problem that you can't handle a spaz.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, honestly, if there's a guy like look, if there's somebody who came in who's 250,
yeah,
and they just went completely berserk every time they rolled, I may not roll with them all the time.
Would you tell them because that
No,
would be a danger?
I would be like, go roll with Kevin.
But what if they go roll with some like small, frail?
I would tell the other person, don't roll with them.
Really?
I mean, if I thought they were going to get injured. What I would
You
say.
wouldn't tell the person like, hey, the way you roll usually might accidentally hurt this person. If you want to roll with them, would you chill out a little bit instead of just like?
But sometimes people can't chill out. Like that.
Yeah, but you shouldn't.
I mean, I think you could tell the person like, look, if you're too spaz, right? If I looked at a student,
yeah,
and I thought that they couldn't roll it safely, then I just wouldn't let them roll. If I didn't have a training partner for them,
yeah,
right? If I didn't have a training partner for them that I thought could deal with them, then I wouldn't let them roll.
Would you roll with them?
If I could, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I mean.
And then, but to me, right, like I'm saying from the higher belt perspective, I wouldn't say to that person, hey, you're too spazzy. I would say like, I'm gonna get hurt rolling with you. It's not his fault. Like I don't think it's their fault because they're new, right?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be spazzy. It's my fault for not being able to deal with that spazziness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you should be able to roll in a way, like whether or not you can tap that person out or whatever, you should be able to roll with that person in a way that protects you from like wanton spazzing, injuries.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can't, then that's more than on you as the higher belt than it is on them as the newcomer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it would be. I would like to give a person an opportunity to become not spazzy, right? Like if you don't give a person the opportunity to roll with a broad group of people, if a spazzy person only rolls with spazzy people, they're only going to be spazzy.
Yes.
Because they're spazzy.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you have to go send the spazzes out together.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, and what I would say, what I have said to people is like when they go crazy, and like I have to do what you have to do with the crazy person.
Smash. Is that?
I will say to them like when you go that rough, then I have to be rough back to you. Like I have to not be rough, but I have to be.
Some people don't get that though.
No, but I'll say it to them.
Yeah, you have to say it with some
I'll say like, listen, like if you're gonna go like that crazy, then I have to protect myself, right? And protecting myself means that you might get hurt.
But then
as my one friend says, he puts it, he goes, if I have to choose between you being hurt and me being hurt, I'll choose you every time.
Yeah. But
so,
you always get the counter argument, or I do anyway when this comes up, that like, but I'm a blue belt, like you're a black belt. There should be, you should be able to handle it, and I should be able to be spazzy.
Yes.
And that's it. Like there doesn't have to be a conversation about it.
Yeah, but it never works like that.
Yeah.
It never works like that. What happens is the spazzy person goes all spaz, and then the higher belt wrecks them, and or hurts them, right? And or they don't like being roughed up.
But what happens is the spazzy person thinks that that's how everybody rolls, right? Because
that's why you tell them. That's why you have to say to them, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna go like that, then I'm going to respond like this.
It's like
and if you're okay with that, that's fine.
What's the quote? If you run into one jerk in a day, you ran into a jerk. If you run into all the jerks all the time,
you're the jerk.
You're the jerk, right? So if you find that everyone else around you is super spazzy, and that's just how jiu-jitsu seems to me, it might just be you. It might be people reacting to how you roll, and maybe if you change how you roll, you'll find that other people will change.
Well, what happens usually is that, like, when you have that person that can't control their kind of aggression or their bodily movements, right? A certain like quarter to a third of the class won't roll with that person anymore. Like a lot of people who are maybe like a little bit higher up, but like they're lighter, that maybe you know what I mean. Like they just won't even roll with that person anymore because they're just like I don't want to get hurt, and they're not equipped to deal with that kind of aggression or uncontrolled physicality.
They're not equipped. It's like I don't want to get kicked in the face today. So
they're not equipped. They're not equipped.
I guess.
I mean, I've trained with guys that are like big brutes that can't control themselves. I mean, just because I can't tap them doesn't mean like you can't roll with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've certainly had situations where the guy's just a total beast, and you just kind of roll around with them, and you do so in a manner that like you're not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
But you may not finish them.
And like great jiu-jitsu isn't really happening, but it's a roll, and you're like.
I mean, I think it's valuable as a higher belt to roll with people like that. Like that's totally essential. If you talk about, sometimes the criteria. This is something I've really thought about a lot. But like, you should be able to roll with everybody who walks in the door.
Yeah.
Like what that looks like may be different depending on who it is that walks through the door. But you should be able to. I mean, as long as it's like a legit roll and not like somebody just trying to like tear your head.
What does spazziness even mean?
Really? I mean, you know it when you see it, right? Or when you feel it.
That's the thing, because is it, because I feel like when people are doing jiu-jitsu, like they usually do stuff, they have an idea in mind. Is it just that like spazziness is just bad ideas?
Yeah, it's a lot of bad ideas. That hurt a lot. I mean, it's stuff with the elbows. a lot of the pain stuff, you know, like the people who are like, I'm just gonna elbow you.
Yeah.
The
That's not
people
really-
who are like, I'm gonna grab your fingers.
I feel like that's not spazzy though, because at least they thought about it and they made.
Well, there's different types of spazies too, right?
Well,
Like there's the
there we go.
spazies that are like just like physically like just out of control, and they don't really control themselves. They're just like all over the
Spasms.
place. And then you got the people who are like intentionally trying to like tear your ear
Well,
off,
that's not.
or like
that's not, well,
or like rip your fingers
that's not a
off.
spaz. I don't think.
Kind of spazzy.
I think
That's
spa-
like mental
A
spasms.
spaz is like, you know, when you hit someone in the face, right?
No, I'm talking about-
a lack of control of motor.
Well, there's motor, like physical control, and then there's mental control.
Fair.
And so I think that those things kind of
Also,
right.
sometimes.
Like how about the people who are like they're in your guard,
Yeah.
and then every time like you try to bring them back in your guard, they'll either like slap you in the face,
See, that's not. I don't think that's.
or
a
they'll
spaz.
pinch. How about the guys who pinch you, like the pinchers?
That's just annoying. That's not spastic.
I think those are. I think
That's that's like mental spasm.
I think also I would consider spazzing to be a person who prioritizes their own movements over the other
Yes.
person's safety.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna do my thing. If it hits you in the face, that's fine. I'm just still gonna do my thing. And sometimes it's like a good technique, but sometimes it's just like wild and crazy. But it's still like a lack of concern for the other person. I think can kind of.
I think
be-
people who like they like to like put their hands on your face in a very aggressive way. The slappers, the squeezers, the pinchers,
I feel like
the
if
elbowers.
they put their hand in your face in an attempt to escape or
They'll
something.
do this, like you pull them back in the guard, and they come down with the elbow of doom.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like
How about the
being side control here, if they're on bottom and you're on top, and you get people.
yes, you
in
get the
face.
knees, right?
Yeah, that one's
Yes.
my favorite.
Yes. Sometimes you get the hands in the face.
Yeah,
You get. I mean, I think that's a.
desperate pushing. It's,
Yes.
but it's. I don't know. It's not always spazzy. I think we apply the word spaz.
And it's a broad. There's no. It's an umbrella term to me.
Yeah. Some people are just like they're doing their best and they're not they're keeping things under control, but what they're doing is just not great.
I think
Versus the people who are just like
there are people who they're able to use sort of their physical strength or explosiveness, and they get away with a lot because of that, right? Because they maybe are more explosive than your average blue belt, so to speak, right?
yeah.
And so then what happens is they just keep trying to do that stuff, right, with everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no like real technique involved,
Well,
other than I'm just gonna elbow you.
It's a development, right? Like they're new. How are they gonna do technique? All they're doing.
Well, that's why I said that
they're-
originally this guy has a little bit of experience, right? He's a year in. He's 2
That is
years
nice.
in.
Because like when you start out, you're like flopping around and you don't really, and then like one thing might work, right? Maybe
Yes.
you hit an elbow escape, or not
Yes.
even that. Like you shrimp.
Maybe you rolled the person over because you went so hard
And
and
from,
they were
from
small.
then on, that's gonna be
Your
your
go-to.
game. That is your entire game. You've got an UPA from mount, and you're gonna use it, right? Every time they get into mount,
No
you're
matter
gonna-
what position they're in, you're gonna oopa.
No, like you know, they pass your guard. You're just.
I'm in
waiting.
your guard. I'm
You're
oopa
waiting-
you.
You're waiting for them to get into mount because you're gonna UPA them.
Yes.
Right, and your entire
That's
strategy.
a legit strategy.
Your
right
strategy
there.
is I'm
Now
gonna
you're
lure
on
them
top.
into mount. But like that's not good jujitsu. Like
What are you talking about? That's
no,
like,
it's you know, Kyle would be very sad if he saw that. But like you know, it starts with that one thing that works.
I'm just
right?
waiting for you to mount so I can oopa you over to be in
Yeah.
your guard. That's a
And-
great strategy.
No, but
Wow.
like but
That's some MMA stuff right there.
But if that's the only thing that you can make work, you're gonna latch onto that because that's the only control you have in this chaotic, weird thing that you're now
Yes.
involved in. And so like, and then from there, right? You're able to lure them into mount, and then you can oopa them, and then maybe you can not get submitted in closed guard.
And then you take your elbows and you drive them into his.
Yeah, right. Like, and then
I
you're
like
in
to take
closed
my
guard,
fingers
and
and
then-
drive them into your like in between your lips.
No, but like you know, you learn how to pass the guard and you work on it, and then you realize that if you dig your elbow in, it opens up people's
It
legs
does.
every time.
Or their neck. You can elbow their neck.
They,
through
they
that
might
way.
frown when it happens, but it works.
It works.
And
Yes.
and finally, you know, you've been struggling on the mat for like
Yes.
6 months or something, and you can finally open up a person's closed guard legs. I don't care what you think of me. I'm going to dig my elbows into your legs, and I'm going to pass this guard, and you're going to deal with it until you can figure out a solution to this problem.
Yes, I agree. That is good jiu-jitsu right there.
That's how it is, you know? Like, I'm not going to not do the thing that I know I can make work just because you know better jiu-jitsu than I do.
I mean, that's the thing of why jiu-jitsu gets a bad name. That's when you're supposed, as the higher belt, I'm supposed to stop you and tell you all the things you did wrong.
No, you should stop them and celebrate them for.
I'm just kidding. I think you know.
Yeah, but like it's a weird balance because like it is our job to guide people away from doing silly things. But part of the process of learning jiu-jitsu is doing a whole bunch of stuff wrong for like 8 years, and longer than that.
Not anymore. Honestly. Now it's like 2 years and you should be a purple belt.
It's a process, right? The stuff that works for me and you isn't going to work for a white belt.
Well, it doesn't work anymore. Our jiu-jitsu is like old, washed up jiu-jitsu, man.
So
you gotta do the new school jiu-jitsu.
And I want to celebrate people's successes, but sometimes they're like, those stupid reverse triangle from bottom of side control, and it's like,
Oh yeah, the buggy choke.
Yeah, like.
What are you talking about? That's
not the buggy choke. The other one, the kids always do. That shouldn't work if they do good jiu-jitsu, but it works.
Oh yeah, that one. Where they push the head down.
Yeah, you just shove their head into your legs and you squeeze until the kid is mad at you and he's crying at the end of the line. And like you want to stop the kid and be like, don't do that. Like that's gonna be not good in like 8 years. Like just you can't get into this habit. But at the same time, like this kid's doing something that works for him.
Yeah.
Like who am I to be like, don't do that? And I know the answer to that is you're his coach, but I'm also like, everyone goes through that process.
Hey, if the kid's gonna let you do that, you should do it.
Yeah. Well, also, and like if
that kid who's getting it done to them needs to learn how to like keep their arm and their head out from between the legs,
and
right?
If triangling people from bottom is what gets you to come into jiu-jitsu at all, I'm gonna let you do that thing, and then hopefully you figure it out that it could be better. But I don't know. Jiu-jitsu is made mostly of terrible techniques, and everyone's
applied as viciously as possible.
I mean, there are always better techniques, and I think that means that at least half of them are worse than average, right? Out of all the techniques out there.
I mean, you don't have to have great technique against other people who have no technique.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're
but that's the thing, the majority of the people
people that you're a lot stronger than.
Yeah.
Right? If you're just like you have a little bit of technique and a lot more strength.
Like 99% of the people on earth don't know how to grapple at all.
That's true.
And so like the bare minimum in most situations will get you a really long way.
Yes.
And
that's what we should read in our academy. Bare minimum jiu-jitsu.
But like it's true, if you train jiu-jitsu for like 6 months, you should be able to handle anyone who walks in. Pretty much. Like the majority of people, I think. I think so. Yeah. In my experience. Like if you train hard.
Maybe.
Like if you, I was training.
I mean, maybe someone roughly your own size.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying like everybody.
I mean, an NFL linebacker walks in. I mean,
no.
You're probably
like average person, like most regular people who walk in. And then when you hit blue belt, you should be able to handle 95, 99% of people. Be them linebackers or like Gordon Ramsay. I don't know, whoever you
Gordon Ramsay.
I don't know. He doesn't train. I just named a person. Yeah.
You mean like Anthony Bourdain?
Sure, him too.
He's dead, but I mean he was a blue belt.
Yeah, but you should be able to handle these people. Like 6 months to a year of jiu-jitsu should be able to handle the average person, but I mean, and you could let them get away with stuff that wouldn't work sometimes, but like especially with the kids, the goal is to get them good at jiu-jitsu in the future as well, right? Not just having small successes, but the small successes are really important, even if they're like, it's complicated.
All right.
I don't know. Do you focus on telling people to do different things, or do you like just be like, good job, or do you like
kids or people or adults?
Kids.
I think there's a difference, and this is why competition is good for kids. It's like when you're in a room with even a lot of kids. I mean, we've had 20 kids, 30 kids in here competing, and the things that will work in here, right? Because there's a huge range, right? So just because you're able to get something to work on a kid in here is not going to help you. When you go to competition, and just because you can hit something on a kid in the first round does not mean that's going to work very well when you get up to the next, into the finals or into the semis, right? I mean, the quality of competition is going to go up. And if you are used to doing the lowest percentage stuff on the least experienced people, when you step up at your level of competition, you are going to be in for a unpleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Because you're going to deal with kids that are very experienced, that are fundamentally sound. And so it's like one of those things where if you just do trick shots all the time against people who are not really, they don't know what's happening, then you get this inflated sense of success.
Yeah.
And when you go somewhere where the people know what's up and the tricks aren't going to work anymore.
Yeah, they might work once.
They're a low percentage, right? Like and that's the thing. There's always at each one of these competitions at every level, you have people that are watching you. And so if you hit a takedown, like if you hit a beautiful takedown in your first round, the next round that guy's unless he's very good and competent and confident in his takedown, they're probably gonna pull, and you're not gonna do that thing that you thought you hit a triangle or then people know that's your go-to, right? Now you have to be very good. I remember Ryan Hall when he first started off, he triangled everybody. He triangled everybody he triangled. And I remember I went to this tournament and my buddy was in his division, and I had a match. I was up a weight level. I think I was lightweight. And Ryan Hall was down another level. And my buddy, I was like, look, I don't care if you win or lose, but when I come back, you better not have lost to a triangle. Just like make him do something else to you.
Yeah.
Like get arm locked, something else, get swept over, get cross choked, whatever it is. Don't get triangled.
Yeah.
He got triangled. I mean Ryan Hall. I mean he went something like 350 matches with triangles.
Yeah.
I mean that is just
insane.
I mean, and after the first 100, everyone knows you're going to triangle him, and he still managed to do it to everybody. So, you have those.
It's weird, and he's not even known for triangling anymore.
People have forgotten how good he was at triangles, because those were also back when he wore gi. Yeah. And he doesn't wear gi anymore. He was a guy. He's like the 50-50. He was doing heel hooks before anybody was doing heel hooks. He is a deep half guard. He's like Jeff Glover. Not as much swag as Jeff. Not as much of a character as Jeff.
Jeff and Ryan both represent two of the types of jiu-jitsu I wish I had. Both their ability to conceptualize and their ability to talk about it. Jeff's understanding, his intuitive understanding of it, and then Ryan Hall's ability to vocalize.
Ryan Hall, when you think about what he was doing, what's interesting is if you go back and you look at his old DVDs, it's very similar to what John does now.
Yeah.
And so John, I'm sure is well aware and has watched all of Ryan Hall's DVDs, but lifted or whatever. I'm sure that influenced him in how he structures how he teaches and how he explains things. And Ryan Hall's discussion about how the mechanics of what he was doing and how he changed he would explain how he was changing his mechanics.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, I'd have to go back because John has a very different way of doing arm locks and triangles than what most people do. And I'm not sure how much he got off of or built off of. because he didn't just take Ryan Hall's stuff, but I think he must have seen it. And I'm sure that influenced how. Because look, if you're thinking about, well, how do I teach the most efficient way to do triangles? Yeah. You have to start with one of the guys who's the most prolific trianglers, if you wish.
Was Ryan Hall he wasn't like the first person or like the best at it, was he? I thought he was more of the person who, he was the first to teach it in a way that was understandable and organized and systematic.
He was one of the first guys who wasn't we start here and then you do this, and then if he does that, you do this, and then if he does that, then you do
this.
Yeah.
He took it from a very different angle where he was like, okay, let's start from the finishing mechanics. So like you were in the finishing position. How do you know, most efficiently complete the submission, right? Or the sweep, or whatever it is that you were doing, the break, whatever. Yeah. And then from there, once you got all those things down, right? Like how do you like progressively get tighter and tighter and tighter? Then he went back to the setups and went back into the counters and the, you know, like all those things. It wasn't like, okay, we start in close guard, and then like here are the things that you can do from close guard, right? Oh, he puts his hands here, and then you do this, and oh, he stands up, then you do that. He goes up with his right foot first, you're gonna do this. You go left foot first. Okay, you do the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He took a whole different angle to it.
I don't know, I can't say that he was the first to do it that way, but he was definitely, in my mind, one of the most prominent, and certainly the first that I saw.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
So, I mean, he's very, like, cerebral in his approach to jiu-jitsu.
Speaking of tomorrow,
Yes.
can we talk about jiu-jitsu and language?
No.
No?
You know?
I also want to talk about how good jiu-jitsu is similar to comedy. And it might only be a sentence, but
I don't know anything about comedy, so you're on your own there.
you can Google it later.
I'll Google comedy.
You can Wikipedia comedy and maybe.
All right, you guys vote. Would you rather hear, sorry, this is probably really loud. Would you rather hear us talk about, which way am I going here?
We talked about everything else.
Comedy or jiu-jitsu as language? You pick, or both. All right, guys.
It goes along with the theme of subverting expectations. Good jiu-jitsu and good comedy does both.